Now he is here gated to that back pool, but he's still gonna say hello to you guys, so take a look.
Wow.
You guys give him a big round of applause. Now Rudolph is in this backmost pool, and that is because we do have the opportunity to move him from pool to pool, give him some variety in his life, let him see different areas, and it's also important for us to work on his gating, just in case we need to gate him to this middle area, which is our med pool. The floor does come up, so if we need him on dry land for anything, such as x-rays, he knows how to gate into this middle system, and we can close it off on both sides like we have it on one side to complete any medical behaviors that we might need. It is also important for our habitat maintenance, as we have divers go in and clean our pools. Each pool in each day is different, but we want to make sure that we're not exposing Rudy to any risk or the divers to any risk. So we do have him on a separate side while they are in cleaning, and then we make sure that everything is all clear by checking out the pools once it is easy for us to see. So in the meantime, Rudy does hang out on one side while the other one is being worked on. It's really important for us and our animals' health to keep our pools nice and clean, so we have that opportunity to gate Rudy just in case we do need to do any maintenance or cleaning on one side of his habitat. And he knows what to do. He is comfortable with that gating behavior because of the work we do with our positive reinforcement training. Now Rudy is here and participates in about 6 different training sessions each and every day. And he is here at the facility because of hearing loss. Rudolph's story begins in December of 2019, hence that Christmas-themed name, Rudolph, where he was found stranded close to here off the coast of Sanibel Island. It was at this point that Clearwater Marine Aquarium's very own rescue team responded to his stranding and brought him into our off-site rehab facility. While he was in rehab and cleared medically, the U.S. government came in to conduct a series of tests to determine if he'd be able to survive all on his own out in the wild. One of these tests is a hearing test, which Rudolph did fail. He has hearing loss, specifically in his echolocation range, which is what these guys use in order to properly hunt and find their food and also navigate their waters. It's similar to the sonar that we have in our submarines and is a key element in their survival out in the wild. So without being able to echolocate, Rudolph was deemed non-releasable by the U.S. government and granted to stay here with us at Clearwater Marine Aquarium. He was transferred to this facility in 2020 from rehab. He has been with us ever since. Now, as I mentioned, he participates in about 6 different training sessions each and every day, where we're utilizing positive reinforcement training to draw attention to behaviors that we would like to see repeated, and then we just simply ignore anything that is undesirable. When Rudolph gets a behavior correct, you might notice Katie pointing at him or giving him a double tap. This is called a bridge, and in training, a bridge refers to the cue that bridges the gap between the asked behavior and the reinforcement that follows. It essentially tells Rudolph, good job. If you've seen training sessions, you might be more commonly known with these whistles that we have around our necks that are used most often as a bridge. This whistle is not something we can use with Rudolph due to his hearing loss, so we do use those alternate bridges as that visual bridge of a point or the tactile bridge as a double tap. Every so often you might also see us utilizing a squirt gun. That's another way of us to tell Rudolph good job if he is somewhere in the middle of the pool where he might not see a point or too far away for us to give him that tactile double tap. All of those bridges are just part of our positive reinforcement training. You might notice when he receives that bridge, he gets some yummy fish as reinforcement. Rudolph gets a diet of restaurant quality fish each and every day, and that's another way for us to reinforce and make sure that the behavior continues in the future. He doesn't just find his food reinforcing, he also seems to really enjoy tactile in the form of back rubs or belly scratches that you can see Katie demonstrating. It's just another way for us to reinforce him, as he does seem to find that enjoyable. So it's another way that we can make sure that behaviors that are asked, he wants to participate in the future. Everything we do here is voluntary, so if Rudolph doesn't want to participate, he doesn't have to, but we make sure to reinforce him well and give him things that he would enjoy so that he wants to participate and wants to come to session. Now each session we focus on different aspects of his training. This session you're going to be working on some cognitive stimulation in the form of new behavior learning. Cognitive stimulation is a way for us to make sure that they're using their very smart brains, as out in the wild these guys would be problem solving pretty frequently, hunting their food, navigating and escaping from predators. We want to make sure that while they don't face those same challenges here, Rudolph still has that opportunity to learn and use his brain. And one of the ways that we can do this, it's through learning new things. Just like how a lot of us might go to school or have gone to school where we're learning new things, new ideas, and we're making sure to use our brains, Rudolph has his own form of Dolphin school within his training sessions. Now that cognitive stimulation and that learning today is going to be Rudolph working on a behavior called a fluke fling. And it's going to start off with the basics of our training in the form of targets. Targets is one of the first things they learn. Starts off as a hand target, like you see Katie demonstrating, where Rudolph comes up and kisses the bottom of her hand. We can have it stationary or it can move around in order to tell him where we want him to go and to shape new behaviors. You can see he spun in a circle with the target, and now she simply shows him that cue, and he does the exact same thing without the need for a target. As learning progresses, the target gets faded away. We use it less and introduce that hand signal, or SD, more often until we don't need the target at all to have him participate. Now our hands only go so far, so we might also introduce some target pulls, which is what you see Katie holding on to right now. The target pull is the same exact thing as that hand target, except he touches the end of his rostrum to that buoy. We can use it to move him far away. We can have it go to the middle of the pool all the way down to the bottom, as our hands go only so far as we can reach, but that target pull can go much farther. That's about a medium-sized one. We have ones that are really long so that we can reach further distances, and we can move them in the same way we move our hand to shape new behaviors and tell Rudolph what we would like him to do for that behavior. We then phase it out and can move into using just that hand signal. The targeting is one of the foundations of our behavior as we use it to shape a ton of new behaviors. You saw him working on that spin or even moving in that tailwalk behavior. We can move it in a circle to have him do a somersault, and then we can even have him do that under the water and move it above the water once he's figured out that motion to have him do any aerials that we might want him to do. A target is very important for all of these guys' learning, and it's going to shape a lot of those behaviors that you see once they're completed. Now the targeting is a great example of how he's going to start to learn, and then Rudolph is going to show off those higher energy behaviors that once used that target, but now he's gotten pretty good at doing without it. So for that bow behavior, you see him going up and down in kind of that crescent motion. For that target, it would look kind of similar to where the target would move from one point up in a half circle to the other point. Rudolph would follow it. They would increase the height more and more until he got the understanding of the behavior. They could phase out that target pull. All of the basics of our training are just as important as the completed behavior. So we don't just work on those completed behaviors in our sessions. We also often go back to basics, start on those low targets, show him those behaviors that are less commonly in those finished ones, but really important for the beginning stages, as these guys are always learning, always giving the opportunity to use their brains. So we want to make sure that those foundational behaviors are just as strong as the finished ones. Now we also make sure that while these guys are getting that good mental workout, they also have a good physical workout. That's where some of our training can coincide. All of our categories are not mutually exclusive. We don't only do cognitive or only exercise. We can put them together in that learning and exercise behaviors. So he was using that target pull to learn the behaviors, but also using his body to complete them. High energy behaviors are really anything that's going to get him moving and get his blood pumping, and he's going to be focused on working out that peduncle muscle. The peduncle is the muscle between the dorsal fin and tail flukes, and it's the muscular powerhouse of a dolphin. It's how they're able to swim at speeds of over 25 miles an hour or get up to 10 feet of height into the air. It's the strongest muscle, and they're really going to be pumping it, that peduncle and their tail flukes to get going, as Rudy is showing off to you guys just how fast he can swim when he's utilizing that peduncle. Now these guys get a diet of restaurant quality fish. Rudolph gets about 14 pounds each and every day. So we want to make sure that that caloric input is being matched by a caloric output. So we do ask him to participate in these high energy exercise behaviors to give him that good workout and make sure he's staying perfectly fit and healthy. Now the third category of why we train is not something we're focusing on today, but it's still very important for their overall care. It's going to be our husbandry or medical management. That's just how we objectively monitor our animals' health and care for them in a way that is least stressful. Because these guys voluntarily participate in everything and we don't speak Dolphin, we want them to participate in their own health care so that we can keep an eye on their health, because they can't tell us when they're not feeling well. So we can have them participate in samples such as a blood collection so we can take a look at how they're doing. We can also have them sit for ultrasounds or x-rays that we can get a look inside to make sure that they're perfectly fit and healthy. And they do voluntarily participate in everything, so we make sure to give them a lot of reinforcement, especially for those medical behaviors, as all of our animals are deemed non-releasable and a lot of them have various health complications. Something that is frequently seen in dolphins is respiratory illnesses, as they live in water but breathe air just like we do. So they have that proximity to water, and they don't have a lot of the protections that we do, such as hairs in our nose, to stop any bad particles from going into their system. So we can even get a respiratory sample from our animals to give us a good insight into their lung health. Now everything that we do here is for their overall health and wellness so that they have the best second chance at life possible while under our care. Part of this is interacting very closely with them, so we do have that strong bond. They trust us and want to participate in our sessions. So we interact very closely with them, but this is not something that you would ever want to do with their wild counterparts. It is actually illegal under the Marine Mammal Protection Act from 1972 to interact in any way with wild marine mammals. This does include, of course, dolphins, but also whales, otters, or even polar bears if you happen to find yourself all the way up north. If you are caught interacting with them, you can face jail time or a pretty hefty fine, so it's very important to remember to stay at least 50 yards away from them out in the wild. And if you do want to see them up close and personal, come to facilities like Clearwater Marine Aquarium where you can view them safely. We are a non-profit here, so just by walking through our doors, each and every one of you is directly supporting our mission of rescue, rehab, and release, while also helping us provide a great second chance at life for all of our non-releasable permanent residents like Rudy here. If you have any questions following this presentation, please feel free to come up and ask each and every one of us. We could talk about these guys all day long. I'd like to thank you all once again for coming. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day here at Clearwater Marine Aquarium.